Hello Battle Cats players, my name is Chance and welcome to my guide. Now today we have a very special video in store for all of you. Today we're going to be talking about Valkyrie Cat. And I cannot stress this enough, once you get this cat, it marks a huge game-changing moment. It also marks a milestone, seeing as how the only way to get Valkyrie Cat is to complete Empire of Cats Chapter 2 in its entirety. While we will, of course, discuss in detail what makes Valkyrie Cat so significant in terms of gameplay, just know that things tend to get pretty interesting from here on out. And this really does mark the first massive statted unit you get access to. And of course, it is my hope that throughout this video and discussing in detail Valkyrie Cat's evolutions, performance and abilities, strategy and gameplay, as well as various other traits and features to them, including their cat combos, you can make an informed decision on how to best use this cat and how far to invest into them, if at all. Now then, let's first get started by taking a look at Valkyrie Cat's evolutions. Firstly, Valkyrie Cat's description reads, descended from the fields of Valhalla to provide salvation for the battle cat. Uses the heavenly spear Mjolnir, which has area attack. Then, at level 10, they will evolve into True Valkyrie Cat, whose description deceptively reads, changed to her final form, troubled because God keeps hitting on her, uses the heavenly spear Mjolnir and area attack. However, deceptively, there is one more form, that being Holy Valkyrie Cat, and this is the true form of this unit, capable of achieving it at level 20, after you compete into the future Chapter 2. And its description reads, the curse is broken and the savior of catkind has returned. The restored Mjolnir pierces foes, freezing them in their tracks, area attack. While there's not too much worth noting about this process, seeing as how it's fairly linear, despite the weird name anomaly of True Valkyrie Cat not being the true form, but that is because true forms were added at a later date, so it's kind of weird. It is kind of worth noting that Ponos took some interesting design liberties with the animation for Valkyrie Cat, but yeah, I'll leave that for you to determine. Now that you have an okay grasp on the evolutionary line pertaining to Valkyrie Cat, let's take a look at its performance. To start out with, Valkyrie's class changes based on what form it's in. In its normal and evolved form, it is considered to be a rusher. Rushers, being extremely fast units, typically with shorter than average cooldowns, long backswing, a high speed, and short or mid range. They often have high damage power for hit and do lots of damage quickly. And crowd controllers are units that are mainly used to knock back enemies or inflict status effects, in this case freeze. Under pros, we have decent recharge time, decent range, and fast movement speed. Under cons, mediocre health and DPS, low knockback count, and short backswing for a ranged unit. And then of course, for special or other considerations, a 35% chance to freeze non-metal enemies while true formed. Freeze is arguably one of the best, if not the best, status effects in the game, as it completely stops enemy animation and attack. In essence, being able to trivialize many fights if applied enough. Looking at all of these factors overall, it's safe to assume that Valkyrie Cat's a fairly good overall unit. There are, however, some inherent downsides to them and things you need to bear in mind while using them. So now let's take a look at the strategy and use case for Valkyrie Cat, as well as watch some gameplay. First and foremost, as far as cost is concerned, at Chapter 1, a Valkyrie Cat will cost 2,000 cents, at Chapter 2, 3,000, and Chapter 3, 4,000 cents. Now, as far as Valkyrie Cat herself is concerned, this cat is really best used for Empire of Cats Chapter 3. Some of the early Stories of Legend stages as well are made much easier by Valkyrie Cat, and of course into the future. However, after those points, she's essentially outclassed by all of the other kind of pseudo-Uber units, if you want to call them that. She is also one of the first ranged attackers to deal area damage that you will have access to, and this makes her ideal for stall tactics and cheese. However, an inherent downside to her is her speed, funny enough. She is essentially a ranged attacker with a very limited health pool. so you do want to shield her, not to mention the fact that she's pretty dang pricey for this point in the game. So with all of this considered, the last thing you want to happen is for her to rush forward and proc a boss fight that you're just not ready for. So as tempting as it is, you're going to have to resist using her until you have a decent enough stack of meat shields or various other units built up. Now, as far as her true form's concerned, it doesn't really do too much for her for the aforementioned reasons. Namely, that at this point in the game, she's just outclassed by her other unlockable special cat counterparts. And seeing as how they share the same designation, there's not really a ton of stages where Valkyrie Cat will be more viable than them. Even with that being said, however, I suppose there's an argument to be made that if you have gotten unlucky with your gacha rolls and you need a freeze unit, this is a perfectly viable option for that. To have area attack freeze at over a third of the time is actually pretty good. And while this unit does have a fairly high cooldown time, it's nothing astronomical, so it's fairly manageable. Now that you have a good grasp on the performance and use cases for Valkyrie Cat, let's quickly go over their cat combos. Firstly, Rivalry. This is a Worker Cat start level up involving Red Riding Mina and Valkyrie Cat, and Worker's Cat's initial level starts with a +1. I don't care, not very useful. And the second and last of her cat combos, Blessed Strength. This is a canon start level up of the medium variety and involves Holy Valkyrie Cat and a Cat Majora. And with this cat combo active, the gauge will be filled about 40% when you first start any stage. While this is interesting, it's not really that relevant. 40% is pretty significant, and there are a couple stages where using your cat cannon early can work, but it's not mandatory for those stages at all. It's really just a quality of life thing, and there are just simply put better cat combos to use. Now on to the part of the show where I read some trivia and flash you guys some screens involving the stats related to Valkyrie Cat. Firstly, Maunir is based on Grungir, held by the god Odin in Norse mythology, and the hammer Mjolnir, which is held by Thor. Valhalla is also home to Odin and is a hall in Asgard. A Valkyrie is also one of Odin's heavenly warriors. True Valkyrie Cat's winged headpiece is similar to the ones worn by the Valkyries Lenith, Brist, and Semelia in the Valkyrie Profile series. Interesting. The curse is broken and the savior of catkind has returned refers to the fact that she used to be a corrupted Valkyrie, corrupted by the curse of Dog Lance Wolfnir. Valval Cat's armor is strongly implied to belong to Valkyrie Cat, though its bright blue coloration is a closer match for Lenith from Valkyrie Profile. The quote, "half of a cat is made out of kindness" from her Mercstoria profile is a direct reference to the tagline of the painkiller Bufferin, which can be similarly translated to "half of a Bufferin is made out of kindness." On the version 4.2 update poster, her true form has a halo. On the initial release of version 11.9, for every version the Battle Cats has had except for the Japanese version, a glitch caused Valkyrie Cat to be missing her Mjolnir. And as a quick aside, the recently-ish released true form for P-Cat seems to take a lot of inspiration from Valkyrie Cat, mimicking her headpiece. And at the present moment, seeing as how Valkyrie Cat doesn't have access to any talents, that's really all there is to say about her. As far as what I would like to see in terms of her talents, immunity to curse for sure, definitely seems to fit the character. The standard attack and defense buffs would be likely seen as well. And target zombie and zombie killer, I suppose, would make sense for her thematically as well. However, we'll see what Ponos does, if anything at all. And that about wraps it up as far as Valkyrie Cat's concerned. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or things that I might have missed, feel free to post them down beneath in the form of comments. And of course, mention any ways that you think I might be able to improve the quality of these videos. As always, your insight is much appreciated. Thank you so much, and until next time, I'll talk to you later.